Avengers! Assemble.
Hello everyone, and welcome back to Excelsior, the world's #1 Marvel's Avengers podcast. This is your episode for November 14th, 2020. I'm your director, Christian Buckley, joined by the Apex legend, Jack Martin. How are you doing?
Excelsior. I am doing pretty good. Been spending most of my time in Apex Legends because, of course, got that Season 7 update. Enjoying that. Some rocky launch issues with the Battle Pass, but has been mostly fixed. So, yeah. How have you been doing?
Pretty good, yep. Most of my time this week has been the Destiny expansion, which some people underwhelmed by. I'm a big fan of it. But again, it's another instance of a live service game changing some things up, you know? So
Unlike a certain game that we'll be discussing.
yeah, perhaps the game that the podcast is centered around.
Maybe.
We're going to get to what's going on with Avengers this week. Honestly, it's a lot of the same as the last few weeks. So because of that, later in the episode, we are going to spend a decent amount of time talking about Spider-Man Miles Morales. Spoiler-free, of course. I've been playing it on my PS4 Pro. Jack has not had a chance to get into it yet. So we'll give impressions, just talk a little bit about it surface level. But before we get to any of that, why don't we just run through Fury's report. Now, let's just lead with the priority missions, okay? Let's just lead the way we normally do. They're back again. It feels like it's a week-to-week, case-to-case of like, are they here? Are they not? What's being highlighted?
The game is saved. Priority missions are back.
So if you wanted to run some priority missions, the low power level option is Along Came a Spider, which is one of the Black Widow iconic missions. And the high level one is Enter the Avengers, which, if memory serves, is the Manhattan map, where it's like towards the end of the game, it's the war zone area that you can explore and do all the side things. I think you're rescuing some Inhuman hostages.
Yep.
So those are the two priority missions. The Harm Room for the week will net you Black Widow 2014 number 13. Again, if you want to flesh out these comic collections, which I still don't understand what they do, or how you can. It's all random, right? It's always a random thing, except if it's a Harm Room get.
Yeah. I think basically the idea is to like check in each week and see what it is, and if you like the stat that it buffs, then just keep going after it to increase it. But it's by such a small amount that I don't even care.
Yeah,
and I feel like a lot of people don't.
Yeah, I rarely look at my comic collections. I feel like you're correct. It's so minimal that in my mind the only strength of that is if you have a full set, because that's like when you get the like 3% buff, not the 0.01 thing. So it's such a hassle because of how random it is that I don't bother looking. I don't know how many complete sets I have. I think I might have like 2, but yeah, if you want your standard easy way to get some all right gear, probably most listeners at this point don't need that. The game's been out for over 2 months now, and the odds of being near level cap with most of your characters, I'd say, are pretty high, or at least like your main rotation, So people probably aren't looking for guaranteed drops for decent gear, but if you're bored, every week you can do that. Also this week, got a new patch. Patch 1.3.5. Tons of bug fixes again. Just surprising me every time they drop a patch how many bugs are still in the game. Notable highlights, though. These are very good things. At least one of these are. They fixed the gear stats for like your heroic, your proficiency, range, like that kind of thing. Up top, the 4 stats. Remember there was an issue where if you were looking at individual gear stats, the card would block some of the main core stats for your character.
Yes. Yep.
they fixed that. I don't know if it's translucent now or if the card just spawns lower on the screen or what, but now if you want to go look at the intricacies of your individual gear, you will not be blocking the buffs or debuffs it will cause those 4 stats.
Cool, as it should be.
Yeah, I'm glad that's in there. Very, very glad.
Yeah.
Because it was just very annoying. They also implemented XP bonuses for those who play quick play or quick play with any hero. Of course, this is just to incentivize people to matchmake, because it's a co-op game. They want to incentivize their players to play with each other, not just their friends, or foster that community so it's still alive. It's like you want people to be matchmaking for a reason, and if the reason right now isn't content, it's like, okay, if I can progress maybe my non-mains, I can help out people who are looking for a team. So you get bonus XP with quick play now. I haven't checked that out, but what about you? Have you messed with quick play ever?
Yeah, actually, it's funny this came up this week because that was the first time I actually played with other people aside from you or Kevin, our friend Kevin Diaz from PlayStation Source. I was listening to a podcast and I was like, I have like 20 minutes left of this thing, so I guess I'll jump into Avengers. And I just hit quick play and I did a villain sector, and I was just in and out essentially. Yeah, it didn't really do that much for me. I didn't feel like, oh man, I've been missing out playing with other people. But I guess it's nice that the quick play function is there and that you get extra XP. It's weird that it took like a certain length for it to actually get implemented into the game. Very bizarre. Again, like a lot of the stuff that keeps trickling out is like, man, why did this game release in September? Why did this game even come out this year? So it feels like more and more as the weeks go on, it's like, okay, this is what the game probably would have looked like. Strikingly similar to a game like No Man's Sky at this point, just seeing like the rollout of this.
Yeah, for sure. I think it's a fair comparison. And speaking of just seeing how the game should be, next-gen consoles launched this week, so the Xbox Series and the PS5. Despite there being no official next-gen version of Avengers released just yet, you do get a bonus, I guess, or a buff in your performance just through the backwards compatibility and the boost mode functions of the new consoles. So many people have posted clips of Avengers running close to or stable at 60 frames. So if you do have a next-gen console, if you own this game, you can play it via backwards compatibility if you owned it on your Xbox One or PS4, and it should have a way better experience. I've seen load times have been decreased, elevator rides are shorter, so all that stuff that you'd expect from a next-gen version, you get hints of it right now. We do know there is a full-blown next-gen version coming in 2021. But for now, if you sold your old console to upgrade maybe, you'll get a benefit. So there you go.
Yeah, that's nice. I'm particularly excited for the full-blown version, as you mentioned. But yeah, this should be like a definitely a better experience. It seems to stabilize frame rates, which I have issues with on my 2013 PS4. So excited for that, sort of next gen version of this game to tide me over into like the full blown version, I suppose.
Yeah, so hopefully whenever you upgrade, maybe there'll be even more content dropping around then too, so then you can just have a nice good time with the game. But one last thing on Fury's report for the week. We talked recently about the marketplace messing with different pricing structures. I think last week and the week before, a epic gold skin, the highest level skin you can get, was $700 in the marketplace. It is now back up to full price $1,400 or $15. And this whole marketplace half off sale that we were like, hey, maybe they're testing the waters to see if this is a better pricing structure. They could very well still be maybe analyzing that data, but it's back. It's back to the way it was before. Everything feels a little overpriced again. To me, especially, like, being able to sell new skins like that Unworthy Thor and a bunch of new Black Widow skins, or, well, those are after the reset, but like we saw new content last week. We saw debuts of new skins for half off. So getting back to, again, another week of debuting new skins and then they're $15 again, that's like a little... How do you feel about that?
Yeah, it's more bad news for a game that doesn't need more bad news. And this is more in the control of the developers. And like what you said, like it's possible that they could be analyzing what the differences between the sales at prices, and they very well could bump it back down to what it was. But yeah, just right now, at least this week, to have it back where it was, and fans particularly not liking how expensive that was, is not good. And it was in their direct control to keep it down at a reasonable price. And they decided to go back up with it. So I don't think that really helped Crystal Dynamics and Square and the overall image of the game. I don't think it's like a catastrophe at all. There's a lot worse problems going on in the game, but it's not good.
Yeah, I think I'm right there with you. I would also say that at the very least, would it kill them to just keep it this way until the new content drops? Just as like a, hey, if it is coming soon, how many weeks is it going to damage your revenue if you're having the marketplace be half off,
Definitely. And especially since there are fewer people playing right now. I don't think this is... I think if you kept it at a lower price, that would at least maybe convince people to actually spend currency on this. But yeah, at the $15 to $14 price, I don't think that's worth it. I don't think anyone really thinks that.
Yeah, you're correct. As far as our updates go for the week, though, you mentioned that you did quick play and you messed around with that and some matchmaking. Was there anything else you wanted to mention on your side?
That was really it. Okay. I really only played this game for 20 minutes this past week, so it really isn't even worth delving into what I did. It was a villain sector, and I just played with randos. Gotcha. And it was fine. It really didn't feel any different than playing by myself. I don't think the game really is challenging right now for like a level 150 character. Or even in general, I don't think there's a lot of challenge to the game. So like what we've been saying for the past few weeks, I'm really waiting for a piece of content that maybe is the raid or something else that is challenging. But right now we just don't have that. Yeah,
so I did not play this week at all. Like I said, my time's been focused in other games this week. And why don't we dip into some stark realities, because I'm not alone. Recently it was reported, or not even people reported on it, but like anyone can see this. The concurrent players on Steam, right? About a week or two ago, we talked a bit about like, oh, they dipped below 1,000. That's probably not too bad, because there's other games coming out. It's a busy season right now. We went over the NPD reports for the PlayStation 4 and the console sales of it blowing away records for superhero game debuts, and we figured most of the player base was probably on console. This week, the Steam concurrence dipped below 400. So that's really rough.
Yeah, I bet like old Call of Duties have more concurrence on Steam than this does.
Oh yeah, I bet you're absolutely right.
That's insane. Like in the game's defense, I don't think the majority of players are on Steam. I think it, like what you said, I think it is mostly console. But man, 400 is not a good number to have for a player base. And I was thinking this week, like, if the game was marketed as more of a single player and like occasional optional co-op game, and it just like didn't have the content like it does right now, and if it was marketed that way, then I think this game would get more of a pass. But like, it was really marketed as like a live service sort of game, like a Destiny or like an Apex or what have you, where you're supposed to like come back day by day, week by week, depending on what you want, and there will be content there. And there just isn't. And like, there's no incentive for people to play this game if you got it around launch and it's 2 months in now. There is really no reason to play the game. Like, there's truly no reason. And it is very repetitive, and if you go back and play the game right now, you'd be playing stuff you've already done hundreds of times at this point. And yeah, it's really, I mean, of course the developers are having to fix the game and develop new content in like a very profoundly difficult and challenging time. But I was thinking about like Destiny, and I was thinking about Apex Legends, who specifically with Apex, they have Respawn has, I think, launched 3 seasons this year, maybe 2. 2 definitely during the pandemic, and added an entirely new map recently within the past week or so. And I'm just like dumbfounded how a game called Marvel's Avengers can't have something similar. Of course, as you mentioned last week, though, like, Apex has been around for more than a year, so like it does have a good solid footing.
Right.
But even at this point, I feel like the game had some sort of content, or at least a plan of a rollout, and of course we don't have a plan with Avengers. So yeah, these numbers don't really surprise me.
Yeah, and going further with not having a plan. So this coming Tuesday will be 2 full months since one Framir Bell III was able to get into the raid. Like,
accidentally?
Yeah. 2 months, Jack. 2
Wow.
months since someone actually played that content accidentally, and they haven't said a peep about it. I still don't even know if the cloning lab is the raid. I still don't know.
No one knows. I think we've been more so than, I would say, like the subreddit, or even just the gaming audience in general. I think we have been a little bit more lenient with the developers, just because I think, as we've been saying, we sort of expect the trajectory of this game to improve over time. And a lot of people maybe don't think that way, and they think it's dead, or think it's like Anthem, which I understand at this point. I totally understand that, but I think we've been a little bit more optimistic. But man, they have not done anything within the past week, and especially like past like couple weeks, to really like make me continue feel that way, because their communication has been so bad. And in the past War Table, they didn't even mention the upcoming War Table or any content that's coming soon. And it's really troubling.
You know what they did do, though?
What's that?
They, in their screenshot of the priority missions for the week, on the in-game War Table in Utah, there was a Kate Bishop icon for an iconic mission.
There was.
Just like how last week, or 2 weeks ago, I forget at this point, but they teased more Thor quest lines, and that pissed me off. Like, last week I was like, oh, cute, they're teasing. This week, Jack, dear God, don't. You don't get to do that. No.
Yep. I agree.
If you've been silent this long, and then you're being cute about it, that's not cute, that's annoying. Like, if we keep saying, oh, it's soon, and then they tease this, I would cut them some slack if the last tease of the like more Thor quests sometimes very soon after led to those quests being implemented into the game, right? But we saw that however long ago it was, and we still don't have any progression on when we're getting those Thor quests. So then a week later, they do it again with another thing, the thing everybody wants. When's that coming? I don't know. We know there's supposed to be a War Table video presentation this month, but like you said, no comment on it in the recent War Table blog. In the blog, they were like, how's it already the middle of November? And then they didn't say that they still have something coming the rest of November. It's like, oh my gosh, I'm rooting for them so hard, but it's getting difficult.
Insert the meme, you played yourself. Because
Yeah.
that's like what it feels like. It's like they're not doing themselves any favors. Um, if they just came out every week and were like, we are sorry, even if they had to keep doing that over and over again, it's just not good. Also, this tease isn't even a good tease. It's
Yeah.
not like a cheeky little line in their blog or anything. It's just an image that honestly looks like a mistake.
That's what we
It
got
looks
last
like, oh
time.
man, how did that slip in there? And it doesn't look good.
Like, the other thing too, and this is just, I don't know if this is nitpicky, but like, the fact that her iconic mission or her quest line is in Utah, man, like,
Yeah, not a new place.
can we, like, even, I mean, we're supposed to get a new area to explore, right? Like, they said that with
Uh-huh.
every character, but like, could we at least get like a actual thing to do in New York City? Like, one thing.
Yeah, or anywhere really, like anywhere that's new in particular. But ugh, yeah. Honestly, I was thinking about this, Christian. I would not be surprised if we don't get a War Table presentation this month, and we don't get Kate in December. Like that would not surprise me at this point, given how like tight-lipped they've been.
Yeah, so I want to ask you this. Would you feel better if they put up like a notepad tweet or something like that? I don't know. And they're like, hey, um, so we decided we're not going to drop anything else the rest of this year. We're just going to work real hard on the next gen version. Um, and it's going to drop in February with Kate, Clint, Black Panther, and then Spider Man is a month later. And it's all free. Maybe they said like if you want the challenge card, it's gonna be half off instead of 1,000. It's gonna be 500 credits. But we're not releasing any new content until the next gen version drops in like the beginning of February in 2021. Would you feel better about that than what they are doing right now, which honestly might end up turning into that? They're just not saying that. Like, because I think I could at least come to peace with that of like, okay, you know what? I haven't really played the game much recently anyway. So if you are just being transparent about it and letting me know when I can expect things, what I should be expecting, and just giving me things to get excited about, I feel like I'd be less snarky about everything with this game right now if they just were vocal about it. And I know that everybody on the PR team has said like we really don't want to give dates because we don't want to disappoint people. But at this point, we said the same thing last week. At this point, you have to. Like whatever your plan was before, the plan's gone. Whatever hype you wanted to have before, you have to just like crack open the box a little bit. You can't keep it all in there until everything's ready to be perfect.
Yeah, I actually think that's a really good idea because everything right now just feels so up in the air. And we were just mentioning like we don't even know, we're not even fully confident that things are actually going to come out at the end of the year, by the end of the year. Even though they've said that, they've said a bunch of stuff that just hasn't happened, of course. And honestly, like, how long is the Kate content even really going to last us, right? Like, of course, we'll get a new character, which is very exciting, and we'll get new areas and missions, which are all great. I don't think it's the big update that people really want. Well, they want it, but I don't think it's going to be the big update that really saves the game. I think that's raids. I think that's more mission types and things like that. I don't necessarily think we'll get all of that in the Kate update. I think it'll be good. But, like what you said, if we had Black Panther, if we had War Machine, and with that goes Wakanda and stuff like that, I think if we had all of that content around the time or with the time of the next gen upgrade, which that would be cool if it was in February. I'm not holding my breath for that, but if it is, that'd be cool. That'd be a really good start of a relaunch for the game that it so desperately needs. Even if they were like, the next few months will be dry, and we apologize for that, but we think it'll be worth it. That's great. That's all I need them to say.
Yeah, because
Because right now it just feels like it feels like something could drop tomorrow or nothing could drop for the next 3 months.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And it's not that if they said everything, like, yeah, that'd suck, you know? Like, I'd like to play the raid in this game. I'd like to have a reason to play multiplayer with you, but
Mm-hmm.
I would much prefer if it was like, okay, this is like when I know I can like be excited for this game again. Because you mentioned it before of like comparing it to um, Apex or a Destiny even. As someone who's this week been playing the new Destiny expansion, which again I really like, and has also been playing the single player story of Miles Morales, which we'll get to, like as much as I really like the story of Avengers and that campaign, I can't say it does any of the things it does better than how Destiny does its games as a service stuff or how Spider-Man does the single player stuff, you know? So
Mm-hmm.
it really like I feel because of that I don't have a reason to play the game right now. Like I have a character at max, it's Thor. I have some people close to max. So yeah, for how much I liked that story, having a new story content expansion for Kate and then Clint and then Black Panther, that's going to be awesome. That's going to be super cool even if it's like a 1 to 2 hour story chunk for each character. That's fine. But yeah, they just need to say it. They just have to tell me that it's coming. Like I know it's coming, but like let me know because you put it perfectly. It could be coming tomorrow or 3 months from now. I have no idea.
Yeah, I think honesty is honestly what is needed in this game. Like,
Mm-hmm.
if it's bad, you can tell us that. We just need to hear it because it's very uncertain right now.
Mm-hmm.
Also, yeah, like I don't want to beat a dead horse, but there really just is no sense of progression once you hit level 150 because in my understanding with a game like Destiny, when you hit level cap, there's still stuff to do after that. I think
Mm-hmm.
light is the thing that you chase
Yes.
after level cap. Am I correct? Um, and then I guess that helps with the raid, right? Something like that.
Yeah, so the like in Destiny 2 it's power level, so the raid the raid power level for the new upcoming expansion I believe is 1260 or maybe 1300, but what you can get like your character's max power level with your gear and your artifact to buff everything is 1260. So
Okay.
there is a chase there and there are uh bounties, which are like sort of dailies, but you have to claim them and pick the ones you want to do. Those will give you gear to slowly progress to the level cap. There's tons of different modes to play, lots of different areas to explore. So it's disappointing spending so much
Right.
time in that game this week. Which again, Destiny is one of my favorite games ever. So the bar is very
Hmm.
high, but
And where I was going with that was like there's something to do even after you reach like I guess like the soft level cap in Destiny,
mhm.
and the level in that game it seems like it matters. It really doesn't seem like it matters all that much in Avengers. Like I have 3 level 150 characters and I feel like I can't do anything with them. Like I did that to be ready for the raid, which I thought would be here by now or something to do with like high level characters.
Mhm.
And let me tell you, the Mega Hive is not that. It is just recycled content.
Mhm.
So yeah, it just feels like the work that was put in, at least right now, was wasted as of now because I can't really do much with them.
Yeah, but
So yeah, very
sec
disappointing.
the second that raid drops, you're ready to go, you know.
Oh, I'm ready to go 3 times over.
Yeah. So, and I guess closing it off, just because of everything you said, the fact that the raid was playable accidentally 2 months ago baffles me.
Yeah, I
Like
don't even understand how that happens.
yeah, it's just the fact that like it was playable. They played it. They didn't finish it, but like they played through it, and I don't understand that at all. But on a lighter note in Marvel, meanwhile, Spider-Man Miles Morales has dropped for the PlayStation 4 and PlayStation 5.
Hell yeah, dude. Let me start off real quick. The Amazon gods, Jeff Bezos, of course, from his ivory tower, just really hurting a poor graduate student over here.
Mm-hmm.
because I ordered it. I was expecting it last night. I ordered it, of course, through my girlfriend's Amazon Prime account because I don't have Amazon Prime. And I had to. They emailed her and be like, "Oh, your card or whatever, like it's new to us. You got to re-enter the information." So she had to come when she came home from work. She did that, and my game got delayed till Saturday. So very sad.
That's rough. I'm sorry to hear that.
Okay.
I got it in the mail. We're recording this Friday. I got it Thursday afternoon. So I played it, I want to say maybe 5 hours last night. I was up late. Granted, after the first mission, after the first introductory mission thing, I spent maybe 90 minutes just swinging through the city in the Spider-Verse outfit with the effect on and then listening to the soundtrack of Spider-Verse.
Hell yeah.
So my playtime isn't going to be 100% accurate of everything. I haven't beaten the game, so don't even think I'm going there. But I played again this morning as well for maybe 2 hours. So I want to say I've maybe put somewhere around 7-ish in. And I loved 100%ing Spider-Man on the PS4. And I'm planning to do the exact same thing with Miles. And as of right now, my Manhattan is 47% complete.
Wow.
So, in terms of the rate I'm playing, I'm doing a lot of the collectibles as I pass. I went out of my way to get one set of collectibles fully cleared. I did that in Spider-Man as well. I went for the backpacks as soon as I could.
Yeah, same.
So I did that here. There's a couple mini game things, challenges that I've been doing as I've been passing, but I'll say first off, because I'm playing on a PS4 Pro, the game looks great. Everyone has seen the PS5 footage. If you've seen footage for Miles over the last 6 months, you've seen the PS5 version.
Mm-hmm.
The PS4 version looks really good. Miles' character model looks better than he does in the first game. The new Peter is in this game. And
yes, he is.
You know what? I'm over it. It's fine.
I think everyone will be over it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to harp on it. I just don't like how he looks. He looks young. He looks like Miles' age in this.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think that's correct. I think Peter is pretty much significantly older within 5 years. I would say 5 or 10 years. I don't know.
So,
but I feel like that doesn't work for me.
So yeah, in Miles Morales, Miles is 17, Peter's 24.
Okay, there you go.
So, 7-year age gap, but yeah, out the gate, it was really cool too because they give you the option after you okay, this is my save file, you can do a previously on thing, and then it's Miles narrating sort of the events of Spider-Man PS4 and the DLC from his perspective. So that was really neat. I absolutely did that, even though, of course, I remember everything from that story.
Mm-hmm.
And getting right into it, I was smiling nonstop for the first hour, just because the way they introduce starting the game again is just as awesome as it was in Spider-Man on the PS4. That introductory cutscene, then the smooth transition to gameplay swinging. They do something similar here, and I really, really like that. But yeah, I am really, really liking it. It's one of my favorite games this year. It made me realize how much I view Avengers as just a junk food thing because this is good content.
This is your sirloin steak sort of deal.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So, I know you haven't started yet, and I don't want to give away too much, but do you have any questions as a follow-up to Spider-Man PS4 that you want to hear answers to?
Is the gameplay, I guess moment-to-moment combat and swinging, is that sort of, and this isn't a pejorative, I kind of want it to be this way, is it essentially copy and paste from 2018 to Miles?
It feels natural. Starting out was actually kind of jarring because I've revisited Spider-Man here and there just to swing through the city, because I like that gameplay.
Yeah.
starting with Miles, it makes sense because like he's in training still, but the moveset is so limited, and I felt slow. Like, the point launch jump that you can do to gain speed if you do the, you know which one I'm talking about, right? Like,
Yep. Mm-hmm.
you don't have the boosted version of that out the gate. You don't have the land somersault vault thing. So swinging felt a little slow at first. I did the challenge missions that grant me those abilities. So we're swinging through the city perfectly again. I think they did change something. If memory serves, web zipping in the first game was R1 or L1.
Mm-hmm.
Now it's X.
Trying to remember.
Yeah.
X sounds familiar.
Mm-hmm.
Like I thought it might have been X.
Yeah, it could be, and I just didn't remember. But it when it was introduced, it was like, to web zip, hit X. I was like, oh, that's okay.
Mm-hmm.
Also, if you want to do tricks now, it's holding square instead of triangle circle.
Cool. Yeah, I almost like never did because at a certain point I forgot how to do it. But yeah, that's cool. Now you tweeted something earlier, and I didn't respond to it. It was a poll.
Yes.
Why don't you tee it up?
So I asked the question: when you're playing Spider-Man or Miles Morales, because it's the same exact thing, and you're swinging, do you, once you get in the air, do you just constantly hold R2, and then you let the game just release and go? You know, you hold R2 like you're driving a car. Do you control swinging that way, or do you press R2, connect to a thing, swing, let go of R2, and then manually hit the next swing? That's how I do it. I like release and press again to do each individual swing, because I think it's more fun. It feels more like I am Spider-Man, and I feel like you get more control that way. And I just don't understand why people would do it the other way, because that's how it's introduced. It's like, if you want it, it's like, hey, hold R2 to swing. It's like, no.
Now that you put it that way, I didn't respond to your poll because I honestly like forgot. It's been kind of I think last time I played Spider-Man was last summer, 2019. So it's been a bit. I think the way that you described it, I feel like I do it the same way you do.
Okay.
And that is similar in a way to the original Spider-Man 2, where I think you could choose which way you wanted to do it. And I think I would do it like separately, like the way you described it. So I think I swing like you do.
Yeah. And for some reason, the whole R2 crowd is winning the poll.
Yeah, that holding R2 just seems very passive.
Yeah. It's like, you're Spider-Man, you're not driving a car.
Yeah. Honestly, like, anytime I swing in that game, I'm, like, either swinging or zipping, or I'm, like, constantly changing it up. So, like, yeah, holding R2 doesn't sound like the way I do it. I'll have to report back maybe next week.
Nice. Other than that, though, combat, pretty similar rhythm to it. You know, you're doing the same sort of dodges and jumps. And if you have a preferred way to take down an enemy, most likely it will carry over to this. Miles does have some unique powers, though. He can turn invisible, which you can use to re-enter a stealth scenario. So if you alert an entire crowd and you activate that and you wait maybe like 7 seconds, they'll be like, oh, I guess he left, and then you can do more stealth takedowns, which is nice. And you also have Venom. And Jack, the Venom moves are so satisfying. Specifically...
Yeah. I saw some like videos of them, and it looked really cool. But what were you saying specifically?
So, like, it's great in combat, you know, you're building up a meter for Venom like you would in the standard game for other abilities. But what you can do is, if you have a charge of Venom in you and you're doing traversal, you can hold L1 and hit X, and then you do like a Venom jump, and it feels like it's Infamous, dude. Like,
damn,
you just like launch up into the air super high, and then you can just gain that momentum back and you're swinging. It's so satisfying. It's gonna feel weird leaving that behind when I go to Spider-Man 2 when we go back to Peter, because wow, that's super fun.
Right. Yeah, that sounds awesome. I'm very excited for the potential of Miles in this universe. I think you and I sort of agreed that Miles didn't really stand up to the portrayal of Into the Spider-Verse Miles on PS4. Of course, he wasn't really the main focus of that game, but he did hold a significant portion of the focus, and he didn't really quite do it for me.
Yeah.
But even in like the videos that I've seen of this game and just hearing him speak, he sounds different in a very positive way. And it seems like the actor's definitely like taken control of the role. And I'm really excited to see like where he goes with it, because for me, Miles seems like a much more interesting character than, well, I'd say comparable or maybe even more interesting than Peter does. At this point, of course, we've seen Peter Parker to death at this point. So yeah, and especially with Miles being the center of this and sort of having to live up to the identity of Spider-Man. I don't know where the story is going, but I think it maybe goes along those lines. Is really exciting to me, and I want to see how he handles that pressure.
Yeah, so no spoilers, but you're thinking along the right path. Like, I really, really think Miles as a character in this game was a huge step up from the first game, because I agree with you that in the first game he left me a little underwhelmed. Just because from what I am familiar with Miles, like a couple comic books and the Spider-Verse movie, the potential for him is so great. And what I really, really love is obviously the game takes place at Christmas time, so there's no high school stuff because he is on winter break. He's sort of put in the spotlight to protect the city for a little bit, and it is a lot of him struggling and trying to come into his own, which I like a lot, but also it's filling a void with Spider-Man that I feel like we haven't gotten in a while. I don't feel like we haven't really gotten ever, actually, in at least the films, where it's very much a kid who's trying to balance all this stuff, you know? And the first Spider-Man game is great. It's my favorite take on Peter Parker, but he's a vet at that point, you know? So it's like what you think of when you think of Spider-Man in his prime. So we missed out on high school Peter Parker with his friends, girls, responsibilities to his family, and job stuff. That balance feels so much more present with Miles here, and on top of that, it's just really refreshing. I feel like Miles, I would agree with what you said, where I feel like the potential and just inherently he's much more interesting right now than Peter, even though again Peter is like my favorite superhero ever. Miles feels more important at this point for like a numerous amount of reasons, but yeah, I really, really like the take on the character in this one, and it's very, very, it feels like Spider-Man, even though it's the other Spider-Man, which they touch on a lot. But
and I haven't watched like too much stuff, but the things I have come across, it seems like there's more of a focus on the idea of Spider-Man as the friendly neighborhood Spider-Man, which we definitely got like a little bit in Spider-Man PS4 with Pigeon Man and X, Y, and Z. But I feel like from what I've seen, that might be more present in this game.
oh yeah,
If you're a fan of the Twitter account Bodega Cats, you're gonna love this game.
yeah.
I saw a video. I don't want to spoil it, but there's a meme floating around. And yeah, great reference in this game.
Yeah, like in terms of other Spider-Man media too, I feel like Homecoming touched on it after, like the entire Tom Holland series so far, I think has gotten some of that high school Peter Parker that I like that we haven't seen a lot. But having a high school character through the lens of Miles, his balance of everything, his mom is running in a political position. Obviously, in the first game, he lost his dad. So it feels like the weight of a Spider-Man story, and it's just super refreshing, and I really, really like it. And I'm interested to see where the rest of the story goes. Gameplay wise, I do think it's an improvement over the last game just because there's more to think about and more to integrate into your move style. So it very well could end up being better, I think, than Spider-Man PS4, just because it has the hindsight and it's a story that I don't know where it's going 100%, like we did with the first game.
Now, do you think we get Spider-Man 2 in 2021?
That would be excellent. I don't think it's out of the question. It's just a matter of how Sony spreads out their releases, I think. But
It's true. It is a packed year next year.
yeah, because I actually talked about this with Kevin for Gamescast this week, but I think next year, God of War Horizon, Ratchet and Clank, and I think they're going to position Last of Us Factions together with the Last of Us Remaster to like fill a void where I feel like a Spider-Man 2 would fit in. So maybe 2022 for Spider-Man 2.
That is, I think, very reasonable. But I feel like it is possible, I feel, for it to come out next year because the last game was 2018. But of course, resources and time has been put into Miles Morales. So yeah, I think 2022 is probably most likely. I agree though. I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility to see the full-fledged sequel next year. But yeah, I'm looking forward to that. But especially looking forward to, you mentioned it earlier, the Christmas setting, or I guess the like winter setting of this. I haven't felt that in a game since Arkham Origins, which was like decidedly focused around the Christmas season. So yeah, I'm very excited for that.
Yeah, they don't go in on it too much, but like there's decorations, there's Christmas trees, there's toy soldiers in places. So
That's all I need. That's all I need. Remember, like I wanted them pumpkins, them jack-o'-lanterns. That's really all I needed.
sure, but yeah, I think this is a great Marvel game. It's $50 wherever you buy it. I think it's absolutely worth it. Again, I put like 7 hours into it so far. I'm gonna platinum it. So if you're gonna go for the 100%, absolutely, I think it's worth it. If you like the first game, absolutely, it's worth it. And it's just exciting because again, it just feels fresh. He was introduced like less than a decade ago into the Marvel universe, but he just feels like one of the more important superheroes right now. Again, in many different ways, and Insomniac's take on him for their second effort is not disappointing me at all. Like I really, really love that it is a Miles Morales game.
Yeah, I love Miles. I just actually watched Into the Spider-Verse for the, I don't know, 10th time last night in preparation. And man, I love that movie. And Miles himself is great, and I think the future for Miles is excellent. The one complaint I have for this game, Christian, you need, from what I've read and what I understand, you need to play through this game twice for the platinum.
You do, but listen, I feel like the campaign's short enough that if you ran through it in cutscenes, you could do a new game plus in like an afternoon.
That's fair, and I will. Don't get me wrong. But big no-no compared to what I have argued as the best platinum trophy list on PlayStation, Spider-Man 2018. So, big bad. But yeah, I guess you're right. It is a small campaign, and I will eagerly play through it again. And I'm especially very excited to play through it on PS5.
Yeah.
So maybe if I hold out, I'll just carry that over.
One last thing too, just to incentivize New Game Plus, there's 3 different branches of skill tree to upgrade. At the end of each of them, there's an ability that you can only unlock in New Game Plus, and there is a suit that you can only unlock in New Game Plus. So they do give you a reason to actually go through it again.
Cool.
For some more unlockables, but yeah. Also, the suits, they're great. Very good suits.
Yeah, I saw a bunch of them. I'm excited to just like keep switching it up because that's what I did in 2018. Yeah, I'm excited.
Nice. Well, probably next week I'll have the game done. You're probably gonna have it done too. So maybe, depending on how Crystal treats us next week, we can talk a little more in depth about Miles.
Sure.
But until then, Jack, where can the agents of Excelsior find you?
Sure. You can follow me on social media at Fascinated Jack. What about you, Christian?
You can follow me on Twitter, Instagram, and Twitch at Chris N. Buckley. New Spider-Man game's out. Posting a lot of screenshots again. So look forward to that. This show, though, is available on youtube.com/joyclicks alongside our other podcasts like Jedi Knights, our Star Wars show, the Joyclicks Gamescast, our game podcast. And it's also available on audio services like Apple Podcast or Spotify. We are the world's #1 Marvel's Avengers podcast, so it's thanks to the listeners, the people who rate or review the show. So if you haven't done that, we would greatly appreciate it. It takes just a second and helps us out a ton. But if you want to get involved further, we have a Patreon, patreon.com/joyclicks. At the $1, $2, and $5 tiers, you'll get a variety of rewards, including producer credit like Chris Sakas and Aaron Easton do every week. But I think that's going to do it for this one. To wrap up with an Avengers thing, yes or no, do we get a war table next week? Or the cloning lab, because I've seen both of those kicked around.
I'm going to say no. I honestly... Yeah, I'm going to go no. I think if we get a war table, I actually think it's going to be in December.
I think that's fair. I think you are absolutely correct. I think Marvel Games probably doesn't want to overshadow Miles right now, so look forward to that. But until then, Excelsior.
Excelsior.